Hello, this is Paul Chek. Welcome back to my video blog. Today I thought I'd share an exercise that I learned a long time ago. And I don't even know if I learned it or if I developed it myself. But when I used to be the trainer of the Army boxing team and fought on the Army boxing team, we did a lot of very intensive medicine ball training. And then over the years I studied medicine ball training much more scientifically for rehab and for high performance conditioning. But one of the things that I'd like to share with you today is an exercise that I call the washing machine, because it's like the actuator in a washing machine. Surely you've lifted the lid on a washing machine and seen the central post with all the veins or spirals on it. It goes back and forth, and that's what moves the water and the clothes around. It's called an actuator. And the exercise is designed so that we develop not only explosive rotational strength, but deceleration. So concentric, turning the body, and eccentric, controlling the rotation to change directions. So for things like punching or doing multiple punches, 1, 2, you have to accelerate the 1, then you have to catch yourself eccentrically. The load stored in the obliques is like a rubber band. It snaps the right hand back. That's why the 1-2 combination is the most powerful punching combination in boxing. Now, with things like throwing, this explosive rotation is important. There's just a myriad of applications for it. Kayaking, I worked with the Olympic kayak and canoe team in 1988, and all sorts of different sports applications. I worked with many martial artists. In fact, when I was a young man, my sparring partner, when I was on Vancouver Island fighting in a Campbell River boxing club, my best buddy Lloyd Anderson, who was my sparring partner for 3 years, won the world championship in kickboxing, and he was a very, very explosive young fella. And so these exercises are very, very helpful for explosive training, but you have to be conscious that you need good posture and good spinal mobility, or they can really tear you up, because this is explosive training. And I don't even know if my mic will stay on, but I'll do my best. Now, the weight that you use is going to have an influence on your speed. You have to be careful about being too much of a superhero. I'll quote one of my favorite strength coaches in the world, who I did a fair bit of work with when he was a strength coach for the Chicago Bulls, Al Vermeil, who says, "Train slow, be slow." So sometimes using a heavy weight isn't the right idea, because you need to be able to move at speeds that are approximating the speeds that you would be moving at in the sport or environment you want to apply the exercise to. So this is a 16-pound medicine ball. It's nice and dirty and old, and I like that because it's been traveling with me for probably 25 years. And so what we do is we get a nice stable stance, and I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my spine, and we hold that ball in tight, and we're going to rotate to the right and then come back to the left. So just like the center of a washing machine. And so you start by warming yourself up. Now, one of the things that happens a lot, especially if people have overtrained their abdominals and they don't realize they have an outer unit dominance, which means the rectus abdominis and the external obliques are overpowering the transverse abdominis, posterior fibers of the internal oblique, or the internal unit system, is that as they rotate, their head drops down and their spine drops down like that. So you start getting something like this. Now, that's a very, very bad idea, because when you drop down like that, it locks your spine up. So it forces too much of the rotational force into the low back. And it ends up being bad training, because you really need to use your spine to rotate. A very good example that I give my students in class to show them this is if you just stand up and see how far you can turn with good upright posture. So I'll just get in the same posture, and I turn as far as I can go, and then I go that way, and then if I slouch like I just was, that's as far as I can go, and I'm completely locked up. So if I'm trying to force myself to rotate further, I have to move into the lumbar spine, which doesn't really like rotation. And the facet joints are fairly vertical to protect the discs from too much rotation. And so what can happen is you can really start irritating your sacroiliac joint. You can irritate your hip joint. You can start getting contraction patterns in the adductor muscles. You can irritate your neck. There's a bunch of different nasty things that can happen. So keeping soft knees, the more explosive you're going to get, the more of a base of support you need. So if your feet are too narrow, you'll find yourself flopping around like a fish. And again, work into it, build yourself up, keep good upright posture, and then just try to progressively speed it up. Now your breathing will have to adjust itself, because when you start going really explosive, it's very, very hard to breathe, and your diaphragm is going to tighten up as a means of stabilizing your spine. So if you're really going to get explosive, you'll have to find yourself having to take a big breath and lock that breath in, and you'll have to somehow find a way to breathe dynamically, probably right through the middle where the torque is the least if you're doing long sets. The length of the set, of course, is going to be determined by what you want to do. If you're going to be kayaking and doing a 1,000-meter race, well, you're going to need lots of reps. If you're developing explosive power for boxing or martial arts, you might do short sets of 8 to 12 seconds. But if you're trying to develop endurance for boxing, you might mix that in with longer sets where you maybe go 2, even 3 minutes, but you'd have to be a bit conservative or you'll just injure yourself, okay? So now doing it explosively, get that ball centered around your solar plexus where you can tuck it in real nice and just keep upright posture, and then we start turning up the speed. There you go. That's a nice set. And as you get rested, you can pick it up, do it again, and you can use bigger medicine balls. I got medicine balls over here up to 200 pounds, so you can make it quite brutal. So there's a nice, simple, powerful exercise that you can do. Highly recommend if you're doing any kind of martial arts training or boxing training that you don't do those exercises before any kind of sparring or technique work, because it leaves you fatigued. Your form will drop down, your speed will drop down, your reflexes will drop down. So do your high skill work first, finish with that, or do that on separate days, or you'll be a fit person that gets beat up a lot and has a lot of injuries. By the way, if you like these types of exercises, if you look at my scientific core conditioning program, which you can get on DVD or online, and my medicine ball training series, which I believe is dynamic medicine ball training, there's all sorts of really cool stuff in there that I put together, and you can see me when I was in really good shape too. I'm an old man now, but even though the videos are older, everything in there is still current, hot, and works perfectly. So that's scientific core conditioning and dynamic medicine ball training. Check it out. Have fun. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Paul Chek. I'll meditate and think of something else to share with you as soon as I can. Have a great day.